They're for illegals!
Go out and vote.
Donald J. Trump.
Shitty ass state of affairs.
I could be completely wrong. I'm a completely different member of the House.
I actually have a very, very funny post to show you guys from Trump. Donald J. Trump, True Social, 11:27 a.m. ET. Did I hear former President Medvedev from Russia casually throwing around the N-word nuclear? And saying that he and other countries would supply nuclear warheads to Iran? Did he really say that? Or is it just a figment of my imagination? If he did say that, and if confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually. It shouldn't. I guess that's why Putin's the boss. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over the weekend, far and away the strongest and best equipment we have, 20 years advanced over the pack, is our nuclear submarines. They are the most powerful and lethal weapons ever built, and just launched the 30 Tomahawks. All 30 hit their mark perfectly. So in addition to our great fighter pilots, thank you to the captain and crew. So if you guys don't understand what Trump's doing there, first half, he's talking about how insane and how much that he would retaliate to other countries, diplomatically, politically, to other countries supplying Iran with warheads. And then he goes about this whole thing. The second half, it may be more obscure, but what Trump's doing, he's telling all these other countries, especially China, yeah, you know, all those nuclear submarines we have in Australia and Japan and across the South China Sea, yeah, they're pointed at you, buddy. So just to let you know about like how significant it would be to replace, because some people go, why don't we just sell them the oil instead? And they're kind of spurred on by Trump's comments earlier this morning where he was like, come on, guys, drill, baby, drill. He was, directing his energy department, get that oil going. And I know that we're going to be able to take a bigger share out of the oil market in the face of instability, but right now, there's a lot of things going on that are not capable. We're not capable of actually replacing that kind of oil supply, no matter what you do. I think by next year, the plan is to try and have 100 million more barrels of oil coming out of the ground, but that's actually a pretty impressive feat. To replace 1.5 million barrels of oil per day from Iran to China by rail, if the Strait of Hormuz closes, you need 27 trains, 80 cars each, 700 barrels per car running daily. That's a train every 53 minutes nonstop across 5,000 miles, ignoring logistics, costs, and infrastructure limits. So yeah, it's exorbitantly expensive, and in terms of logistics, just infeasible to get the oil from anywhere other than the Strait, which is why this is China's interest. Even if they continue getting oil from Iran, they're not going to be able to get as much via train. We're not going to be able to replace the 1.5 million barrels a day, even if they bought from us.
One of these candidates has been in New York politics for a hot fucking minute. The other one only got involved after the lockdowns. Well, no, he got it, fucking Mondani or whatever his name is, he got involved during the lockdowns. He got involved, like, right with all the bullshit happening. Like, he is a DSA post-COVID baby, and he will absolutely destroy New York. And I think accelerationism is incredibly fucking stupid. You know why? Because I don't agree with the idea of letting people arbitrarily suffer for some vague idea of, oh, it needs to get worse before it gets better. I understand the rationale there, but I just can't help but go and say to myself, that seems very unfair to people who have done literally fucking nothing wrong. Because when you think about it, these people who vote for these idiots, they don't know better. You know why? Because they're too busy fucking going about their damn lives trying to struggle in this shitty-ass economy and this shitty-ass state of affairs in this country. So, People need to suffer to realize who they voted for. They fucking voted for the person who said they would help them out the most.
Very
Like,
right, very
don't
true,
blame them.
Tyrone. Yeah, I'm gonna, hopium. I've been looking for hopium everywhere. Nobody. There's no hope. There's only darkness. There's only darkness and communism. That's the only thing left for New York. Actually, there is a bit of irony, right? They made dozens upon dozens of movies where New York City was destroyed by an apocalyptic event, whether it's like a flood or an alien invasion or Godzilla or whatever. But at the end of the day... Fuck! No. At the actual close of New York City's lifespan, it is destroyed not by a natural disaster or alien invasion, but by the incompetence of the people living there. So that's like interesting. It's a nice little bow to put on the story. It's like, hey, here's a incredibly successful and beautiful city that was destroyed by everyone inside of it being stupid. Yeah, that's a nice story. It's a lovely story. But that is kind of soft Matt Walsh type beat. At least you're honest. Okay, well, that's the main thing that divides me and Matt Walsh. He's been doing some really good takes this year, but Matt Walsh is anti-anime. I don't know if you knew that. He's anti-anime, and that's just that will never be the case in my household. We're raising our children on Crayon Shin-chan. I've already discussed it with the Foyd. They're gonna raise up on Gundam Saturday morning cartoons. No, man, but no, I guess I did kind of have a Matt Walsh upbringing. I only got ruined as a teenager. Let me see.
But she, I know, came out and like fully condemned him. Tom Swazi made like this vague statement where he was like, I still have concerns about Zarhan, which makes me think one of two things. Either he's just going to try to like ignore this whole thing, or I am actually speculating that he could potentially be on like party switch watch, because he's been like opposing the Democrats for a while on a lot of issues. Last year, I don't know about this Congress, but last Congress, he was the one Democrat to actually have over a 50% from Numbers USA. He's also pretty pro-Israel. He's very invested kind of in like the more moderate to centrist wing. I believe he's part of the Blue Dog Caucus. I could be wrong, but he is someone who's a very Democrat, or he's a very moderate Democrat. He's in a very red trending seat. And he ran his campaign largely on the border crisis. That is part of the reason he won, because I think he co-chairs, like, I think it's the Democrats for Border Security in the U.S. House. So yeah, he is someone who's pretty in touch with his constituents, and I could see him potentially, at the very least, switching to an independent who caucuses with the Republicans. So I think it's very interesting to see what's going on there. I think Gillen's going to lose, probably. I think Molinaro probably will be able to come back in that district. We need to have an effective opposition, and as of right now, we do not. So, that's the way I see it, and,
I'll also add one of the moderate Democrats, or quote-unquote moderate Democrats, John Fetterman, apparently has a higher approval rating among Republicans than Democrats.
Yeah, you've got John Fetterman, who's going to be put into a situation where he's either going to have to switch parties or he's going to have to lose his primary. That's the position John Fetterman's in, who, by the way, was elected as someone who was seen as a more liberal to progressive Democrat. That is what we're going on. And we're seeing them eating their own. They want to primary it out everyone, which I know some Republicans wanted to do that in 22, but that didn't turn out the way. I could see Dems going through with this, primarying out a bunch of like normie Democrats. You see these schizophrenics who are running in a lot of these primaries already, be it the Muslim in Illinois, be it these people who are running in like Michigan, be it these people who are running in several other states. You see a lot of it, and this is something that we're probably going to win the midterms now, and I think that's good. I think it's great.
Yeah.
If people are mad that stuff isn't getting passed, get out and vote in 2026. Don't use this as an excuse to be like, oh, we're going to just stay home. The Republicans aren't. You want a bigger majority so that we can pass this stuff without idiots like Murkowski and Collins? Well, Collins isn't really an idiot. He's like kind of she's got a unique situation. But people like Murkowski, people like Rand Paul, people like that, you want to be able to beat them, go out and vote. If you get Senator Mike Rogers in Michigan, if you get Senator Scott Brown in New Hampshire, if you get whichever Republican's the nominee in Georgia, you'll have enough votes to pass this stuff, you know? And that's what we got to do. You got to get out and vote. And it looks like there's a very good chance now, and we'll get to it later, that we could even expand on our House majority.
Right,
So,
yeah, no, exactly.
yeah.
I have that pulled up. We'll talk about, if you're talking about Wisconsin, we'll talk about that in a bit. She could argue, like, theoretically, oh yeah, that falls under Byrd's rule. The Senate can't use this in reconciliation, whatever. But this is way beyond the pale. Way beyond the fucking pale, ladies and gentlemen. She is taking it all of the way, scrapping all of this stuff, and on top of it, today, we learned that she's striking out limits on Medicaid, Medicare, and ACA premium tax credits for non-citizen immigrants. Non-citizen immigrants. She is saying that we are not allowed to defund money, tax credits, everything else going to healthcare for illegals. Does anybody not think that that is completely relevant to the budget, completely relevant to funding? She is a fucking partisan hack. She is not doing her job. She needs to have her ass fired immediately. And you see this first bullet point: shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and wider communities. So, as you can see, in Zoran's platform, in where Zoran has had his mind, not only did he brag about being like representing like the only majority white Queens New York Assembly district or whatever they're called, he's also just actually wanting to tax white people. And it's not even specifically rich people anymore. He's specifying white people, although obviously when you hear the tax the rich stuff, more about the specifics of what was changed here with birthright. People don't realize how far these judges extended their authority. In this case, the judge barred the Trump admin not only just from like barring people from citizenship automatically, but doing any work or study or planning on the issue. The judge was so triggered by the idea of challenging birthright citizenship in this way that they ordered the Trump administration to stop talking about this issue. The Solicitor General said in oral arguments that this had effectively prevented the admin from having any internal discussions about what a policy would look like or how it would function. This might seem like a small piece, but it was key because as a result of that specific overreach, what the judges got from SCOTUS today is a ruling that limits them to only the specific plaintiffs, not a broader decree. They can't tell the country what to do. They can only halt specific plaintiffs. If they want to halt all of the birthright citizenship cases that we were revoking, they would have to like open up a case for every single one of them, which is impossible. This thing's great for us and major loss for activist judges. I'm sure they will continue doing much of the same work to impede the administration's efforts. However, the reality is that the appeal courts will now be forced to blow all that noise out of the water. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I think this was a really important post by some... This was Rando on X.